Okay, next step, got everything glued together, got everything hinged. Next step is going to be to glue your control horns on the control surfaces. For this, you have your choice of welder glue. You could use CA, use 3M glue. I'm actually going to use the 5-minute epoxy on this. I like the drying time, I like the stiffness it gives me. So I'm going to go ahead and go with that. 5-minute epoxy also works really well when you're gluing your carbon fiber supports in. I use that a lot of times instead of the 3M glue. Works really well on everything. Just if you're using the 5-minute epoxy, be very careful when you're doing the entire wingspan, because it can get start drying on you before you're done. So you can either use, you can go all the way up to 10 minutes instead of using 5 minute, 6 minute, whatever that you can find. 5 minute will work. I could do it, but you just got to be quick about it. When you do your control horns, there's a couple things you need to do. You want to keep your control horn about 1/8 to 1/4 inch away from the inside of your aileron. Also, I like to put a little guide down for when I'm looking. You want to line your control horn up directly with your servo arm. So I just like to set something as a little guide. You can eyeball this just fine. It's not that critical. The last thing you want to do before you glue it down is just make sure the location that you have it, the hole is going to be directly above the hinge line. That's very critical. If you don't get that exactly right, it'll throw off your aileron mixes from one side to the other. So you really want to make sure that's probably the most critical part of this. That and facing it towards the servo. If you don't do that and you face it towards the front of the plane, you're going to have some binding when that servo's moving back and forth and your aileron's moving up and down. So with that, just go ahead and again just mix a little 5-minute epoxy. I tend to over glue these sometimes, but I've never had one come off, but for some reason I just can't stop myself from putting a lot of glue on them. Just kind of get these initially in position, and then as they're drying, you can actually, as the glue just barely starts to harden, you can even make slight adjustments. I like to use an X-Acto knife, just something sharp. Kind of helps you to help hold the control horn in position without getting glue all over your fingers. Alright, that's pretty much it for these two. And next I'll glue the two, one on the rudder and one on the elevator. Alright, got the two control horns glued onto the ailerons. We only have two left, one on the elevator. That one's really simple. You'll glue it directly over the hinge line, about a 1/2 inch from the fuselage, directly in line with the servo. The rudders, pretty much the same thing. You're going to glue directly again over the hinge line. And on this one, you're going to center your servo horn, or your control horn, about 3/4 of an inch from the bottom of the airplane. And that'll get you the correct angle to where your rudder moving back and forth will not interfere with your elevator. So everything will clear just fine. So again, I'm going to use 5-minute epoxy for this. Go ahead and start with the elevator. Rudder next. Try to keep myself from using too much glue. Again, line this up with the servo arm. Yeah, that's it for that. Okay, all control horns are glued on. Now it's time for the linkage. Linkage is really simple the way I do mine. Basically what I do, I just use 2mm carbon fiber tube along with the matching clevises. The clevises that I use are the Dubro number 602 nylon quick links. Basically all I do is just, again, I have my hole drilled in my servo arm to match the clevis, and I just put one clevis through, and then I will adjust my carbon fiber tube length to match the other clevis. So when it's all done, this is just this is not carbon fiber rod, this is actually tube. I found the tube works a lot better than just the rod. And also, these are actually just press fit on. So you can put a dot of glue on them if you'd like. If you cut these the right length, you won't even need to. They press on perfectly, and they will not require any glue, which really helps durability in a crash. But again, if you do cut one too short or something, don't worry about it. All you have to do is put a dot of glue on there, and it'll work perfectly. So I tend also not to use the little rubber, fuel tubing that comes with it. Just the snap alone works perfect. And just make sure when you're done that when your servo's at 90 degrees, that your rudder is perfectly straight. And again, it works the same way for the other side. It's the same thing. Carbon fiber tube, two clevises. Again, everything works exactly the same, so that when you're done, you put it in, snap it. These are extremely lightweight. They require no guides. Again, super durable. And that's it. 90 degrees, make sure everything is flat, so that when you're done, and you see how durable these are, but yet when you move it, it's perfect. It requires nothing. It's very free, flows really easily. Anyway, when you're done doing those two, turn it over, do your ailerons the same way.